I fucked up. I made a stupid mistake. That's my Bronco sitting in the middle of the cul-de-sac, and it all started because I just wasn't happy with how these 37s look. Mechanically, they're awesome, they drive great, and they handle great. But every time I walked outside and looked at them, something just bugged me. The tires looked stuffed, and the Bronco, it just didn't have that lifted look I was after. So I decided to do something about it, and today, I'm gonna show you exactly what happened. The good, the bad, and even the ugly. Including the mistake that turned one simple Saturday project into one hell of a fucking day. So let's get into it. I'm John and this is Project KEHM. I buy it, I build it, I live with it, and then I tell you what actually worked. And if it doesn't, I'll tell you that too. Mechanically, the Bronco is exactly what I hoped it would be. And the Bilsteins? Did I say that correct this time? Hopefully everybody can sleep tonight. I've run Bilstein on my Bronco for years, and I've always liked how they ride. And this Bronco was no different. It drove great, it handled great, and everything worked exactly the way I wanted it to. But every time I walked outside, I'd think, man, I spent a shitload of money, and this just isn't the look I was after. And all I saw was 4 huge tires with the Bronco attached to them. The tires, they looked stuffed in the wheel wells, and it just didn't have that lifted look I pictured in my head. But then it hit me. One of the reasons I bought these shocks in the first place, they're adjustable. I didn't need a whole new suspension, I didn't need different springs, and I definitely didn't need any spacers. I just needed to move those clips. And in my head, this wasn't going to be a big deal. Move the clips, put it back together, align it, and go enjoy it. Simple. Or at least that's what I thought. So before I picked up a wrench, I already had a game plan. I knew I was going to change the clips on all 4 corners. The only question was, how much of this can I do without tearing the entire suspension apart? And for a long time, I had this theory bouncing around in the back of my mind. I wondered, how much of this can I do without actually removing the coilovers? I've never seen anybody do it, and I'd never searched it online. Then a viewer left a comment on one of my videos. He mentioned that you could actually change the rear clip while the coilover is still mounted on the Bronco. And the minute I read that, I thought, that's exactly what I was wondering. But that immediately triggered another question. If it worked on the rear, why wouldn't it work on the front? What's different? Is there an actual mechanical reason why it wouldn't work? Or has nobody tried it yet? That's just how my brain works, and I don't like accepting it can't be done. I want to know why, so I figured before tearing my entire suspension apart, I'm going to test this out. Worst case scenario, I'll prove to myself exactly why it doesn't work. Best case, I'd save myself a massive amount of time. So I grabbed the spring compressors, headed over to the passenger side, and began to work. So I started on the passenger side, and the first thing I wanted to find out was pretty simple. Could I actually compress the spring enough while that coilover was mounted? I got the spring compressors installed, then started tightening them down, and for a minute I actually thought it was going to work. But then reality hit, and there just wasn't enough room. The spring compressors weren't the problem, there just wasn't enough clearance between the UCAs, the tie rods, the frame, everything that was obstructing the axis to safely get in there and compress those springs. So no matter how I positioned them or tried to work around everything, the suspension geometry just wasn't going to cooperate. And at that point, I quit fighting it. The coilover had to come out. And honestly, it sounds like a much bigger job than it actually is. Getting the coilover out, it's pretty straightforward. You just need to pull the tie rod loose, disconnect the upper control arm, swing that knuckle out of the way, and remove the upper and lower coilover bolts. And that's going to give you enough room to move that whole assembly out without too much of a fight. I then laid it down on an old rug, grabbed my spring compressors, hit them with an air ratchet, and let them do the work. And this was actually the second time I used these spring compressors. They worked well the first time, they worked just as good the second time. Not bad for a cheap Amazon set. And once the spring was compressed, moving the clip was easy. I changed it from position 1 to position 3. Released the spring and bolted everything back together. I spent way too much time trying to avoid pulling that coilover. It would have been quicker if I'd just done it this way from the beginning, or so I thought. And here's something I wasn't expecting. After I finished filming this project, I couldn't quit thinking about that front suspension. So I went back out and gave it one more shot, and what I discovered completely changed how I would do this job. Stick around till the end, because I'm going to show you exactly what I found. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good. So time to go knock out that driver's side. Should be easy, right? So at this point, I moved over to the driver's side. I had the whole process figured out. I knew exactly what had to come apart, and exactly how to get that coilover out. Everything was moving along pretty well. Then Arizona, it decided to remind me it was August. It was somewhere around 108 degrees, and I'd been out there for hours. At first, I thought I was just getting tired. Then I started getting dizzy, and my heart was racing. And I knew exactly what was happening: heat exhaustion. And that's my body telling me I had enough. So I quit, put down the tools, and I went inside. I parked myself in front of the fan, drank a bunch of water, and didn't touch that Bronco again for at least an hour. And sometimes the smartest thing you can do is know when to stop. And I'd rather lose an hour than make a mistake trying to push through the heat. I mean, the Bronco wasn't going anywhere. So once I cooled off, I headed back outside. The Bronco was still there, which was nice. I finished up the driver's side, and at that point, the front was completely done. Now, it's time to move to the rear. And honestly, I thought the hard part was behind me. So I moved over to the rear passenger side, and that's when things got interesting. Remember that comment Scott left? Well, he was 100% right. I installed the spring compressor, but this time, I flipped one of them upside down. That gave me just enough room to get the ratchet onto that drive bolt. I hit the trigger, compressed the spring, slid the spring up, and moved the clip. Then I lowered everything back down, and that was it. It worked even better than I expected, and the whole job took maybe 20 minutes. And compared to the front, it wasn't even close. And at that point, I figured I finally understood why the rear was so much easier. There was enough room to work those spring compressors opposite from one another, which allowed those springs to compress evenly. Slide the spring up, move the clip, done. So thanks, Scott. Cheers, man. And at that point, I started thinking, man, the hard part is finally behind me. I was 3 corners in, 1 left to go. All I had to do was put the wheel back on. So there I was, 3 corners down, 1 left to go. The suspension work on this side, it was completely finished. All I had to do was put that wheel back on. The wheel was sitting right under the wheel well. All I had to do was line it up, but the studs were about 1/4 of an inch off from lining it up. And no big deal. I figured I'd just give the floor jack a couple of pumps, put the wheel back on, move over to the other corner, and call it a day. The jack stand was under the frame, the floor jack was under the axle, the Bronco was in park, and the wheel chock was under the driver's side tire. Everything looked exactly the way it should. So I gave the jack maybe 2 pumps, and then the Bronco started rolling backward. And at first, my brain didn't even process what was happening. I remember thinking, what the hell? And for a split second, I actually thought the floor jack was rolling, and then it hit me. No, the Bronco's rolling. And here's where instinct took over, because my first reaction was to stop it. And looking back, that was stupid. It's about a 5,000-pound Bronco, and no, you're not gonna stop it. But in the moment, you're not thinking logically, you're just reacting. And as the Bronco started rolling backwards, the loose wheel that was underneath the Bronco, it started rocking back and forth, back and forth. And the whole time I'm watching it, I'm thinking, don't fall, don't fall. Because I knew the second that wheel tipped over, that Bronco was coming down. And now the Bronco, it was riding on only 2 things, the loose wheel and the floor jack underneath it. And the hub was literally just riding on the inside barrel of the wheel. It wasn't gonna stay there. And then the Bronco reached that transition from the driveway to the street. And that little bump, that was all it took. As the wheel shot out, the Bronco dropped, and somehow by pure luck, the rear shock mount landed right on the base of that floor jack. And the base of that floor jack gave the Bronco just enough clearance to keep that axle and rotor from slamming into the asphalt. And the Bronco, well, it kept rolling until it came to rest right in the middle of the cul-de-sac. And I just stood there in the middle of the street thinking to myself, did this really just happen? So there I was, standing in the middle of the street looking at my Bronco. And the first thing going through my mind, well, that was pretty simple. Now what? So the floor jack, well, that was completely trapped under the rear axle. The wheel wasn't even on the Bronco anymore. There was no way, no room to get that jack back into position. And for a minute, I just kept staring at the thing thinking, what's my next move? And then it hit me. I've got a hydraulic bottle jack. So I ran back into the garage, grabbed it, carried it back out into the street, and slid it under the frame. And started pumping just enough to lift the Bronco and free that floor jack. And once I got the floor jack back underneath, everything started making sense again. I raised the axle, got the wheels back onto the studs, and torqued the lug nuts. And finally, I rolled the Bronco back into the driveway. And only then did I finally take a breath and figured out, wow, that actually happened. Once everything had settled down, I had some time to think about what had actually happened. And honestly, I made a mistake. Earlier in the day, the parking brake had been set, but once I'd repositioned the Bronco to work on the rear suspension, I forgot to set it. And at that point, I'd spent hours working outside in 108-degree heat. I already dealt with heat exhaustion, and my brain, it wasn't firing on all cylinders. So that's 100% on me, no excuses. But here's the part that still bothers me. The whole reason I had a wheel chock behind that rear tire was because I wanted that extra layer of protection. And that's exactly what a wheel chock is supposed to provide. These weren't homemade blocks of wood, and it wasn't scraps I found lying around the garage. They were marketed as heavy-duty wheel chocks with a 9,000-pound capacity. And that's exactly why I bought them. But when I looked down at the chocks after everything was over, it hadn't slipped, and it hadn't been pushed out of the way. It structurally failed. The entire body had cracked apart and collapsed under the load. And instead of providing that extra layer of protection, it was no longer capable of doing its job. And looking back, there's two massive lessons here. And the first one is on me. Never rush, never work through heat exhaustion, and never assume you've completed a critical safety step just because you've done it 100 times before. The second lesson, don't gamble on safety equipment. When you're trusting something from keeping 5,000 pounds of Bronco from moving, don't just look at the price, look at the quality. Because when things go wrong, that's when you find out what your safety equipment is really made of. After everything that had happened, was it worth it? Honestly, yeah. When I finally stepped back and looked at the Bronco, it was much closer to what I'd been chasing from the beginning. And I actually measured the difference. Before moving the clips, the front measured 42 3/8 inches. And afterwards, 43 7/8. That's an extra inch and a half, and that changed everything. Now the front no longer looks buried, and it finally looked like it belonged on 37s. Now, it wasn't perfect. I'd already moved the rear clips all the way up to position 6. And that's the highest setting these shocks have. There's nowhere else left to go. And the tape measure? It says the rear sits about 1/4 of an inch lower than the front. But here's the funny part. Every time I park somewhere, I catch myself looking back. Some days, it looks perfectly level. And other days, I'd swear I still see a little bit of squat. Maybe it's settled. Maybe it's just my head playing tricks on me. I honestly don't know, but what I do know, it looks a whole lot better than it did before. The next stop was the alignment shop, and if you're changing the height, don't forget this step. Get it aligned. Mine came out great. It drove straight, no pulling, no wandering. It drove like a champ. I'll admit though, for the next few days, I was hyper aware of every noise, every bump, every vibration. But once you drop a vehicle, that paranoia gets in your head. A few days later, I stopped at Safeway to grab a coffee. Walking back across the parking lot, I looked at the Bronco, and for the first time, I wasn't looking at 4 giant tires with the Bronco attached to them. I was looking at the truck that I'd pictured in my head from the beginning, and I just smiled because that's the Bronco I was chasing the whole time. One more thing, before you go, I need to show you something. After I finished editing this video, I couldn't let it go. I felt like I missed something in my head. There has to be a way to pull those front clips without pulling that entire coil over. And since I wanted to try a different clip position anyway, this was the perfect opportunity. So I rolled the Bronco back out, pulled the wheel off, and started where I left off. The first time around, I tried installing the spring compressor with everything still bolted together. That obviously didn't work. There just wasn't enough room. But here's what I never tried. I loosened the upper control arm, pulled the tie rod from the knuckle, and swung the knuckle completely out of the way. The moment I did that, everything opened up. Now I actually had room to position the spring compressors the way they were meant to be used, one on each side of the spring. I also flipped the rear spring compressor upside down, not because it was some magic trick. It just gave me better access to the drive bolt with the air ratchet. And the real game changer was finally having enough room to position the compressors almost opposite each other so they compressed the springs evenly. I grabbed the air ratchet, hit the trigger, and bam, the spring compressed evenly. And I had more than enough room to slide it up. Access the clip, move it, release the spring, and then bolt everything back together. The coilover never left the Bronco. And honestly, I just stood there smiling. I couldn't believe it actually worked. That's Project KEHM. And looking back, I spent all that time pulling the front coilovers when I probably didn't have to. So if you're planning on changing the clips on your Bilsteins, hopefully this saves you a bunch of time. Now, did moving the clips to a new position actually work out? Well, that's another video. Well, I finally got the look I was chasing. I just wish it didn't come with a detour to the middle of the cul-de-sac. If you got something out of this video, I'd appreciate it if you hit that like button. If you know somebody who's thinking about lifting their Bronco or changing the clips on their Bilsteins, do me a favor. Share this video with them. I don't have sponsors, I don't have discount codes, and I get nothing for free. I buy it, I build it, I live with it, and then I tell you it actually works. And if it doesn't, I tell you that too. I'm John, and this is Project KEHM.